Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine this. A document leaks, supposedly signed by 21 MPs from of the very same political party,
Right.
and it's sent directly to the Prime Minister. And what does that ask for? A reshuffle, specifically targeting ministers from their own party.
Yeah.
It's an incredible piece of political drama, isn't it? Layers deep with denial, accusation, and just huge questions about who's doing what and, well, why.
It really feels like something out of a political thriller, doesn't it? I mean, the sheer audacity of a group within a party asking the head of government to clean house within their own ranks.
Exactly.
It's the kind of move that immediately makes you want to, dig for the full story.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We've pulled together reports from a stack of sources, outlets like Crunked Up Turkey, Naina, Madashon Typost, Line Today, plus insights from the Srata Sudasan Gumkon Cow YouTube news show.
Yeah.
Our mission in this deep dive is really to make sense of this chaos for you. We're going to figure out what this alleged letter actually claimed, explore the intense pushback and the denials, understand the potential fallout for the Suchart party and the government.
And connect it all back to the sort of shifting sands within the party itself.
Yeah, exactly. So let's jump right into what these sources tell us about this central piece of the puzzle, the letter itself.
Right. So the core event, the thing that really kicked all this off, is this document that appeared, reportedly dated around June 9th, 2025.
Yeah.
And several sources point the finger at Deputy Commerce Minister and Deputy Party Leader Suchart, alleging he led this group of 21 RTS MPs.
And who was this bombshell allegedly delivered to?
Yeah.
The Prime Minister. Though, interestingly, one source, Post Today, specifically names NS Phaethongtharn Shinawatra,
Right.
while others just stick to the Prime Minister,
Yeah.
which is, a small detail but shows slightly different reporting focuses, maybe.
Exactly. But regardless of the specific name, the request itself, as reported across the sources, is just stark, asking for the change of all ministers holding quotas for the RTS party.
Wow.
That's the part that immediately screams internal conflict, asking for a complete slate change for your own ministers. Yeah.
And the reasons cited in this letter, according to the reports, are pretty brutal. What were the main points of attack?
The sources are quite specific here. The letter reportedly claimed the current ministers lacked knowledge and ability in administration.
Ouch.
Yeah. It alleged they weren't effectively pushing policies or showing results, ultimately failing, to meet public expectations.
Wow, that's not pulling any punches at all. It's a direct challenge to their competence.
And it goes deeper than just performance.
Oh.
The letter reportedly raised concerns about ministerial ethics,
Ah.
specifically highlighting those under investigation by independent bodies like the Election Commission, the EC, and the National Anti-Corruption Commission, the NACC. The argument was basically that these issues were becoming public, damaging the government's overall image.
So it's hitting on both capability and integrity. Kind of a double whammy.
Precisely. The letter allegedly brought up potential violations of constitutional provisions, too. Articles 184 and 186, which touch upon interfering with state agencies, and Article 219, concerning serious ethical violations for political position holders.
Right.
It reportedly pushed for ministers to be chosen based on integrity beyond doubt. Strong words.
Very strong. And they framed all this within the broader context of the national situation, didn't they? Like Thailand facing economic challenges, security issues, tech crime, tourism slowdown.
Yeah, struggles for SMEs, rising cost of living, all of that.
Yeah.
It sounds like they were trying to elevate their internal grievance into a kind of national necessity.
Right, arguing these changes were needed to navigate difficult times. Makes it sound less like internal squabbling.
That's the public rationale presented in the alleged letter, anyway. Trying to tie the internal party issue to national welfare. However, as you expect, when news of this document surfaced, the reaction was swift and anything but quiet.
And a key figure pushing back was Ekonot Promfan, the industry minister and the party's secretary general. He was quick to respond, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. His initial stance around June 10th was one of outright skepticism about the document itself.
Not just the motive, but the actual paper.
Yes. He questioned the very existence and authenticity of it. He called it a fake document and even expressed doubt it had actually reached the Prime Minister's desk.
Okay, so what made him so suspicious? What were his reasons?
Well, several things. He pointed out that numerous MPs whose names appeared on the leaked list immediately came forward to deny they had signed it.
Right, like those 3 MPs from Chumphon province you mentioned. They reportedly said they had to issue public denials because people back home were literally scolding them for being on the list.
Exactly that kind of local pressure tells you something. And Wichai Sudsawad, one of those Chumphon MPs, was apparently quite explicit in his denial.
And Ekanat mentioned others too.
Yeah, he mentioned Kunawali Nopabramdi denying her signature, and Tanakorn Wengbun Kongchana also publicly affirmed his loyalty to the party leadership. So you have MPs allegedly on the list saying, nope, wasn't me.
Okay, so that's one red flag for Ekanat. What else?
He also highlighted what he saw as irregularities in the signatures themselves, as seen in the leaked images. He felt some didn't look like official signatures, maybe just initial.
Which you probably wouldn't use on such a formal, important document, right?
That was his argument, yeah. Highly unusual for something supposedly so significant.
And his observation about Suchart Chomklin's alleged signature is particularly pointed, isn't it?
It is, because Ekanat found it incredibly difficult to believe that Suchart, who is himself a minister, appointed under the party's quota.
Right, he's one of the ministers being criticized.
Exactly. Would sign a document that essentially attacks all the party's ministers, including himself, for lacking knowledge, ability, and ethics. It doesn't add up.
Did he manage to talk to Suchart about it?
Ekanat mentioned trying to contact Suchart without success, though interestingly, he said others close to Suchart reportedly just downplayed the whole situation, saying everything was fine.
So that raises a massive question mark over the document's true origin and purpose, doesn't it? If the alleged ringleader's signature seems so out of place.
A huge question mark. So Ekanat isn't just dismissing it, he's suggesting it's deliberately fabricated or perhaps circulated with misleading information.
And he has a strong theory about who might be behind it and why. It's not just internal politics, in his view.
Not according to him. Ekanat's perspective, as reported, is that this document wasn't generated from genuine internal dissent about ministerial performance. Instead, he believes it's orchestrated by, let's say, external interests.
External interests, like who?
People whose activities have been negatively impacted by the work he and the party leader, Pirifan, are doing in their ministerial roles.
Okay, like what kind of activities?
He specifically mentioned things like crackdowns on illegal goods, closing down problematic factories. He even speculated it could be related to gray capital.
Illicit money, basically.
Right, or just powerful, influential figures used to getting their way. His conclusion, essentially, is that it's strategically easier for these external groups to try and get him and Pirifan removed from their ministerial positions than it is for them to change their own illegal or questionable business practices.
Okay, wow. That adds a whole new dimension then. So this isn't just framed as a fight within the party. It's potentially an external force using alleged internal divisions to achieve their own ends.
It certainly connects some interesting dots based on Ekanat's statements. And, this idea of different groups or factions trying to assert influence within RTH isn't entirely new, is it?
No, it links back to previous reports of internal tension. There was that dinner meeting hosted by Suchart back on May 30th with about 20 MPs attending.
That's right.
That meeting itself initially sparked rumors about MPs potentially wanting to leave or form a new party, maybe called Okasmai, which means New Opportunity Party.
Though the MPs present at that dinner denied those rumors at the time.
They did, yeah. But now, with this letter surfacing, the speculation in some reports is that the group allegedly aligned with Suchart might be exploring a formal link or alignment with this rumored Okasmai party.
And some sources even paint a scenario where if party leader Pirifan doesn't resign or maybe propose cabinet names acceptable to this group, a group allegedly claiming the support of around 27 out of the total 36 RTH MPs.
Which is a significant chunk.
A very significant chunk. Well, the scenario is that they might propose that RTH moves into the opposition.
Voluntarily go into opposition. Why?
Well, the speculated goal of that drastic move would be to make way for Okasmai to take RTH's 3-seat coalition quota. Okay. So RTS steps aside. Okasmai steps in.
Potentially putting figures like Suchart himself, Supapong, and General Nathapal into cabinet roles, but under a different party banner. That's the strategic play outlined in some reports.
But Ekanat pushed back on that idea.
Strongly. He dismissed the notion that they could somehow be forced into opposition, reiterating that, cabinet reshuffles are solely at the discretion of the prime minister. It's not up to a faction within a party.
Okay. Speaking of strategic moves within the party leadership, though, we also need to look at a pretty significant development that happened just before this letter surfaced. Party leader Pirifan quietly amended the party rules.
Yes, that timing feels, well, highly relevant, let's say. These changes to Article 53 of the party regulations became effective very recently, May 29th.
Just days before the letter allegedly appeared. And what did these changes do? Some key things. They clarify that membership can be terminated by the executive board in certain serious cases or automatically terminated for gravely violating ethics. But crucially, they added automatic termination for supporting another political party.
Right, like maybe Okas Mai.
Potentially. And also automatic termination for acting to cause disunity or damage party unity or administration.
Okay, the timing here feels incredibly conspicuous, doesn't it? Changing the rules to specifically target members who might be forming factions or linking up with other parties, right as these rumors are swirling.
Sources certainly interpret it that way. They suggest these rule changes were potentially aimed directly at groups like the one allegedly led by Suchart.
Giving the leadership more teeth, essentially.
Exactly. These changes give the current leadership new mechanisms, potentially faster, and maybe without needing a potentially contentious executive board vote for certain serious breaches, to remove members whose actions are seen as undermining party unity or loyalty.
It's a clear sign the leadership is aware of the internal pressures and is preparing countermeasures.
Definitely. So you have alleged dissenting groups maneuvering, maybe, outside the official party structure, and the party leadership making moves within the rules to potentially counter them. It's a fascinating tactical dance.
It really is. And on top of these internal power struggles, there's another layer of tension reported in the sources, one that speaks more to the party's fundamental identity and where it stands now.
Yeah, this connects to the party's position on the proposed comprehensive entertainment complex, the casino bill.
Right, because RTS wasn't just formed on a whim.
Yeah.
It was deeply tied to General Priochanoch's whole nation-building mission.
Yes.
And it built its base on supporters who strongly value nation, religion, monarchy. Very conservative core.
That was its bedrock, absolutely. Its
Right.
core identity inherited from that political lineage. But sources highlight party leader Pierre Fan's reported stance on the casino bill, essentially boiling down to, if it's not illegal, it's acceptable.
Okay.
And this is seen by some as a significant shift from the party's initial strict conservative image.
So instead of maybe an ideological no based on traditional values, it's presented as more of a technical, legal, and maybe revenue-focused argument.
That seems to be the interpretation. And this reported shift has caused noticeable friction with some of the party's traditional supporters. You could see this reflected in comments and posts in groups like Namana, the gathering of people who love Big Two, or Gen Prayut group,
What were they saying?
questioning if this stance really aligns with those original nation-building values, expressing disappointment, asking, is this nation-building, that kind of thing.
And that's crucial now, because General Prayut is no longer in a direct political leadership role. He's become a privy councillor.
Right.
So the party can't really rely on his personal image or legacy to sort of paper over these policy shifts anymore. They have to own their decisions and define their identity themselves.
That's a critical point. The party is navigating its post-Priout era and taking positions on potentially controversial issues like the casino bill really exposes that inherent tension.
Tension between what?
Between holding on to that original conservative base and adapting to maybe more pragmatic or modern policy views. It adds another dimension to the internal pressures and the differing visions for where the party should go next.
Okay, so looking back at everything these sources have laid out for us, we have this alleged letter, right? Full of sharp accusations about performance and ethics.
Met with fierce denials and serious questions about its very legitimacy. Are those signatures even real? Who actually wrote it?
Then we've connected it to the simmering internal tensions, the rumors of breakaway groups, or these potential alignments with new parties like Okas Mai.
And the leadership's response, strategically changing internal rules, almost like fortifying their position against internal dissent.
And layered on top of that, we've seen how the party's evolving stance on big issues like the casino bill highlights this deeper question about its identity. Can it hold on to its traditional supporters while forging a new path now that General Prayut isn't the central figure?
Yeah. It's a really complex picture involving alleged political maneuvers, wildly conflicting counts, and just fundamental questions about loyalty and the party's future direction.
It really is. This deep dive shows just how multifaceted and frankly messy political situations like this can get. It's clearly not just about debating policies.
Not at all. It involves navigating personal loyalties, alleged ethical issues, public perception, and the very identity a party tries to project. Trying to cut through the noise, understanding who actually signed what, Who's truly behind it and what the real motivations are, that's the challenge thrown up by these events.
And it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Given all the conflicting accounts, the suggested external pressures from these gray capital figures maybe, the
Uh-huh.
internal power plays, and the party trying to find its footing post-Prashart,
Yeah.
what does this situation ultimately tell us about the nature of party unity and, I guess, political survival in Thailand today? How much what we're seeing is genuine disagreement over principles or competence, and how much is just calculated strategic positioning, maybe even driven by factors we don't fully see?
That's definitely the big question hanging over all of this. Something for you, the listener, to keep thinking about as you process everything we've dug into today.